On today starts the beginning of Unit 4, and our first topic in Unit 4 is order of operations. So right now I would like for you to take out your math journal. In your table of contents, write your next page number, and then go ahead and put order of operations. So this is something that you did start in both 5th grade and 6th grade. So it should seem like a little bit of a review, and quite honestly, the rest of the year is going to be reviews of what you've done in 5th and 6th grade. So really, we're not going to be learning anything new for the rest of the year. We're just going to be reviewing things that you learned in the past, and maybe trying to get them to be a little bit more challenging, but it shouldn't be anything new. So if you see the rest of the year kind of going by quicker as far as math topics, that would be why. Okay, so as always, make sure that you're taking notes along with the video. And if you need to, press pause, write things down, raise your hand, ask questions, and then play again whenever you are ready. This is going to go by pretty quick, again, because this topic is a review. So I'm going to just keep it flowing, and if you need to, just pause the video. So on your notes page, you should see order of operations. So hopefully you remember, this is what when we're talking about expressions. So all numerical, so you want to write that in, numerical expressions are made up of numbers and operations. So this is important to know. And numbers can, we'll just go ahead and scroll down here. And numbers can include any integers, fractions, or decimals. So any form of number that you can think of. And when you're talking about an operation, these are all mathematical like operations, things that we can do with numbers. So if you see parentheses, exponents, multiplication sign, division, addition, and subtraction. So those are all operations, and we're mostly used to hearing the 4 operations: add, subtract, multiply, and divide. But there are other operations, exponents and parentheses, and we'll talk about that as we go through our order of operations. So make sure to get those all written down. Again, if you need to, pause the video, go back. So hopefully you remember the order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or PEMDAS. So the first thing that you need to do is perform any operations inside the parenthesis. Okay, so we're looking for those parentheses first. They win the race, so if you see those, you have to complete what's inside those first. Okay, then exponents come in second place. So exponents, that's what you would complete second after you would do anything in parentheses. Sometimes there won't be parentheses, so then you go to the next in line. Here's one that's kind of, you really have to pay attention to. So next comes multiplication and division. Okay, so if you see multiplication and division in the same, I guess, expression, you have to make sure that you just work from left to right. And maybe you want to put that arrow in there with your M and your D to help you remember that it doesn't matter, you don't do all multiplication first, or you don't do all division first, that you just work from left to right. Okay, and then the same thing goes for addition and subtraction. Okay, after you complete any multiplication and division, you complete any addition and subtraction, again, from left to right. Okay, so I'm going to draw my arrow in here again to remind me that it goes from left to right. It doesn't mean all addition is done first and then all subtraction done second. Okay, you just work in order. So if addition comes first, then absolutely you do it first. But if there's a subtraction sign before any addition sign, then you need to do that first. Okay, so those are the notes. Let's go ahead and try a few examples here. So I'm just going to write these down right now. And I want you to actually write these in your math journal so that way you can use them as some examples. Okay, I'm going to start with, how about we're going to start off fairly easy here. We're going to do 2 times 3, and then add 7. Okay, So this is a very basic order of operations, but I'm just going to go through, and every time I do this, I go through and I read off the order of operations in my head. Okay, so first I have parentheses. So I'm looking, yep, I do see parentheses, so what I like to do is actually put a box around what I'm supposed to do first. And then underneath it, we're going to simplify this. So 2 times 3, which equals 6. And then I'm going to rewrite the rest of the expression or the equation. Okay, so now I'd have 6 times 7. This is the last thing to do. So 6 times 7 equals 13. And that is our final answer. Okay, so pretty basic one there. Let's try another one. This time I'm going to, let me just use 3. 5 plus 8 minus 6. And then we'll do times 3. Okay, so this one's a little bit different because inside parentheses, I have 2 operations. So in my head, I know I'm supposed to do what's inside the parentheses first, but there's 3 things inside the parentheses. So I'm looking at what I have. I have an addition sign and a subtraction sign. So I'm remembering back to my notes here, right? So even though it's inside the parentheses, it's addition and subtraction, I still have to do it first because it's inside the parentheses, okay? So addition and subtraction finish the race at the same time. One isn't better than the other, so that means that we're going to work from left to right. So when we go back to this, I'm just going to work from left to right. So when I do that, I'm going to put a box around my first operation that I need to perform. So 5 plus 8, that equals 13. I'm still going to rewrite this whole thing every single time. This is going to help me not make any mistakes or make less mistakes, keep my work nice and organized, things of that nature. So now, oh, I can't forget these parentheses here, because even though I already performed an operation within the parentheses, there's still another operation. I still have 13 minus 6 inside the parentheses. So next up means that I have to subtract 13 minus 6. So 13 minus 6 would equal 7. Simplifying that and then rewriting the rest. And I have 7 times 3. Okay, so this is our last operation. 7 times 3 equals 21. Okay, hopefully by now you're thinking, oh yeah, I really remember this from last year. There's one more type that I want to review with you before you go on to your next activity, exponents. So let's talk about, I'm going to write this one so the exponents are a little bit easier. 3 to the second power, and then I'm going to say times, let's go multiply it by 4. Divided by 9. Okay, so let's do this 3 to the second power times 4 divided by 9. So I'm going through this and thinking about my order of operations. Okay, PEMDAS. P stands for parentheses. I don't have any of those. Next is E for exponents. So I do have an exponent. 3 to the second power. This does not mean 3 times 2. What it means is that I'm going to multiply 3 by itself 2 times. Okay, so you're going to have 2 3's here, and that's what you're going to multiply together. Okay, so you really, 3 to the second power means that we're going to take 3 times 3. So now I can solve this. 3 times 3, oh, that equals 9, times 4. I'm just rewriting the rest of the equation now. Divided by 9. Okay, so now, oops, sorry. Now that I have solved my exponents, my next step, I'm thinking, would be I did my exponents, next step would be any multiplication and division. And here, I see both multiplication and division. So when that happens, multiplication and division, if you look, they finish the race in third place at the same time. So that means that we work from left to right. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my question, and I see I have 9 times 4 divided by 9, so working from left to right. I got 9 times 4, so I'm going to put a box around that. That's what I need to solve next. 9 times 4 is 36. Okay, rewriting the rest of the question, I have to divide that by 9. Okay, since this is the last operation, we can simply just perform that operation. 36 divided by 9 equals 4 is the final answer. Okay, so hopefully you're really remembering this. I do want you to make sure before you go on to your next activity that you are getting this notes page taped into your math journal. So go ahead and do that now, and then look up at your agenda on the board and see what you are supposed to do next. Thanks for listening.